IXL section V.1 Exponents with integer bases. This IXL should be very simple for everyone. It's just basically a review of exponents, which I know you're also doing in your Algebra 1 class. First, just a quick review so that we're all on the same page. When you have a number with an exponent, or it could be a variable, this number that's right here, or the variable that's right here, is called the base. And then this is the exponent, or the index. But usually we just call it the exponent. And that tells you how many times to multiply the base by itself. So in this case, 2 to the 4th power means you got to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. All right? And again, just to make sure we're on the same page, 2 times 2 would be 4, 4 times 2 would be 8, and 8 times 2 would be 16. I'm writing that out in case any of you don't know how that works. All right? I'll do more examples like this further down in the lesson. Okay? Así que este número es la base y este número es el exponente que te dice cuántas veces se multiplica la base por él mismo. Alright, so in this IXL, you're going to have a lot of questions like this. Alright, as you can see, these are all very easy. Let me look at, I'll do one at a time. Let me start at the top. 2 to the 3rd power, I would do 2 times 2 times 2. Obviously, if you know how to do this already, you could go ahead and start the IXL. And if you have any trouble, just look at my examples. All right, 4 to the 3rd power is 4 times 4 times 4. So I would do 4 times 4, which is 16, and then 16 times 4, which is 64. Negative 9 to the 3rd power, I'm multiplying negative 9 times negative 9 times negative 9. So I'm going to get positive 81, and then positive 81 times negative 9 is going to give me negative 729. 4 to the 1st power, you're just going to have 1 4, so that means the answer is 4. Negative 1 to the 3rd power, you're doing negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. All right, so negative 1 times negative 1 will give you positive 1, and then positive 1 times negative 1 will give you negative 1. So your answer is negative 1. Make sure you get the sign correct. 2 negatives equal a positive, and then a positive times a negative equals a negative. All right, so there's the top part. Okay, now if we look at the bottom part, you got to solve for what exponent goes here, okay? So 2 to the what power equals 8. You should have it memorized that it's 3, but let's say you don't know the answer. All right, so just start multiplying 2 times itself until you get the number 8. All right, so 2 times 2 is 4, and then if I do it one more time, I'll have 8. So the answer is 3. 2 to the 3rd power equals 8. Let me do the same thing here. I'm going to explain this one in Spanish. Okay, aquí quieren saber 3 con cuál exponente te da 27. Así que si no saben, empiecen a multiplicar 3 por 3 por 3 por 3 hasta que te dé 27. Así que 3 no puede ser. 3 por 3 sería 9. Si multiplico otra vez el resultado, 9 por 3, eso me da 27. Así que multipliqué 3 por el mismo número 3 veces. Así que 3 a la 3. 3 con un exponente de 3 me da 27. Over here, 8 to the what power equals 64. Again, just start multiplying 8 times 8 until you get 64. Obviously, if you know your timetables, 8 to the 2nd power equals 64. So that should be really easy. 2 to the what power equals 32. Again, just start multiplying 2 times itself until you get the number that you're looking for. Okay? Empiezo a multiplicar 2 por 2 por 2 y sigo hasta que me dé 32. All right? This one comes up a lot, so it's a good one to have memorized. 2 to the 5th power equals 32. All right? 2 to the 5th power. So as you can see, that's pretty simple. Let's go to the next slide. All right, here I just want to show you something that you should know already from middle school, but in case you forgot or you never learned it, for your powers of 10, like when you have 10 with an exponent, it's really easy to do these because the exponent tells you how many zeros are here. Let's start with 10 to the first power. 10 to the first power has 1 0. 10 to the second power, 2 zeros. 10 to the third power, 3 zeros. 10 to the fourth power, 4 zeros. El exponente te dice, cuando tiene una base de 10 y un exponente, el exponente te dice cuántos ceros hay en el resultado. Así que es bien fácil hacer. 10 a la 5 es un 1 con 5 ceros. 10 a la 6 es un 1 con 6 ceros. Así que eso se puede calcular bien rápido sin calculadora. Alright, so having looked at that, oh, and by the way, any number to the 0 power, which I'll go over again in a moment. I've said this before though, any number to the 0 power always equals 1. So any number that has an exponent of 0 will always equal 1 no matter what. Okay, in the next class, we're going to go over multiplying and dividing with exponents, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. I already talked about it earlier in the year, but I'll go over it again as to why that is in the next class, okay? Cualquier número que tiene un exponente de 0 siempre va a ser igual a 1, siempre. Así que 10 a la 0 te da 1. All right, so you're going to get a lot of questions with a base of 10 and an exponent. So with that technique that I just showed you, you can answer these questions very fast. 10 to the what power equals 1,000? Just count how many zeros are there? 3? That's the answer. 10 to the third power equals 1,000. 10 to the what power equals 10,000? All right, this 10,000 has 4 zeros, so it has to be 10 to the fourth power. Look how easy that is. Okay, así que simplemente estoy contando cuántos ceros hay aquí y eso me dice qué exponente pongo aquí cuando tengo una base de 10. Así que aquí 10 con cuál exponente es igual a 100. 100 tiene 2 ceros, así que tiene que ser 10 a la 2 es igual a 100. Right here, 10 to the what power equals 1 million? There's 6 zeros, so it has to be 10 to the 6th power equals 1 million. 10 to the what power equals 10 million? 10 million, this has 7 zeros, so 10 to the 7th power. 10 to the what power equals 1 billion? There's 9 zeros, so 10 to the 9th power. 10 to the what power equals 100 million? There's 8 zeros, so 10 to the 8th power. And this one, they want you to write the answer. 10 to the 3rd power equals what? The 3 tells me how many zeros, so I'm going to write 3 zeros. So 10 to the 3rd power equals 1,000. Ok, otra vez, el exponente me dice cuántos ceros escribo cuando tienen una base de 10. And the last type of question that you're going to get is whenever you have an exponent of 0, like I said earlier, whenever you have an exponent of 0, the answer always equals 1. That's what this means. A stands for any non-zero number raised to a power of 0 is equal to 1. So a to the 0 power equals 1 as long as a is not 0. You're not gonna, when I did this IXL, there was no example where a equals 0, where the base was 0. So any non-zero number with an exponent of 0 will always equal 1. So look at these examples. A to the 0 power equals 1. Negative 67 to the 0 power equals 1. The square root of 2 to the 0 power equals 1. You get the drift, right? Like the only exception is 0 to the 0 power is undefined. You're not going to see that in this IXL. And you hardly ever see that, so don't worry about it for right now, okay? Pero cualquier número, otra vez, cualquier número que no sea 0. Cualquier número que no es 0 con un exponente de 0 siempre va a ser igual a 1, como pueden ver en todos los ejemplos aquí. No importa cuál es el número, que no sea 0. Si no es 0 y tiene un exponente de 0, siempre va a ser igual a 1. Alright, so with that in mind, look how simple these questions are. 3 to the 0 power equals 1. 14 to the 0 power equals 1. 8 to the 0 power equals 1. Negativo 16 con un exponente de 0 es igual a 1. Todos son igual. What number I'm sorry. 728 to the what power equals 1? 0. Because any number to the 0 power equals 1. 8, ¿qué exponente pongo para que 8 sea igual a 1? Tiene que ser 8 a la 0 es igual a 1. Alright? Alright, and these are the last types of problems that we got to go over for this IXL. These are in the challenge zone. It's basically the same thing, except you have like bigger numbers. So you're probably going to have to work it out. When you get to, this is the only part in the whole IXL where I think it's fine if you want to use a calculator. But for everything I showed before this, they're too simple. You shouldn't use a calculator. In fact, if you got to use a calculator, that's a bad sign. Not for these, for the ones before these. And even for these, you could do it without a calculator. In fact, you should try to do these without a calculator, right? Because they're not that difficult. So again, let me start multiplying 3 times 3 until I see what number gives me 729. Okay? Traten de no usar una calculadora para esto, para que practiquen la tabla de multiplicación. Esto no es difícil. All right. When we get here, I'm just doing one number at a time. 3 times 7 is 21. So I put a 1 and I carry the 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 2 that I carried is 81. And now I'm going to do 81 times 3, and I believe, no, that's not it. 81 times 3 will be 243. And now the next one should give me the answer. All right, 243 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 that I carried is 7, 729. So that's 3 to the 6th power is 729. Again, the people that should most not use a calculator are the people that don't know their timetables very well so that you could practice it. Because that's the only way you get good is by not using a calculator, okay? Traten de no usar una calculadora para mejorar la tabla de multiplicación, para estar seguro que lo saben, porque la gente que más necesitan practicar esto son la gente que no saben la tabla de multiplicación. All right, so here again, 5 to the what power equals 625. Let's start multiplying 5 times 5 until I get 625. 5 times 5 is 25. If I do it again, 25 times 5 is 125. And if I do it again, 125 times 5 is going to give me 625. So it's 5 to the 4th power. Alright guys, that concludes the lesson for IXL section V1.